on our Facebook channel. So for the people who can't make it today, they can watch when they have free time, or rewatch if when you start to decide to cook, if you're not cooking with me today. Okay, so welcome. I want to thank the Ruth Keeler Memorial Library for hosting this. And I would also like to thank the Friends of the Library, who's a nonprofit organization that works with the library to help fund programs like this, and they're helping co-sponsor this. So I want to thank them as well. If you'd like to see more of these programs, please reach out to the library and become a member. It's $25 a year, and it goes to all the programs that we offer so that we can offer them for free. And hopefully soon we'll be in person, and we're going to have more in-person programs. So thank you for that. Also, if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to email me at chefrizzo@hotmail.com. Also send any pictures that you might do of these wonderful dishes, and I'll forward them on to our social media person who will put them on our accounts as well. Okay. You can also put them on your own social media accounts, and you can tag them at Ruth Keeler Memorial Library. Thank you. So let's go on to what we're going to do, some yummy cooking. We started this new series here in March. There'll be 3 of them. And we're going to do what I can do with a rotisserie chicken. A lot of people pick them up at BJ's, or they pick them up at Costco or Chico's or Whole Foods, wherever your choice of places to buy one at. And they make a really easy dinner to make. You can cut it up and just serve it roasted. I choose to debone mine most of the time and do lots of other different things because I kind of get tired of just having roasted chicken. And I chose to do this because these are also meals you can make like an abundance of them, and you can put them in the freezer so that when you want to pull out a couple, little portions, you don't need to make a whole pot of it all over again. Okay, it saves. So we're going to do that today. We're going to make a hearty chicken tortilla soup, which I love, love, love. And I'm going to make it a little bit on the mild side, but feel free to, add more spice to it if you want to. But before we do that, we're also going to do your typical plain corn muffin, which I like to eat with my chicken tortilla soup, but we're going to bump it up and add a lot of add-ins and see how you can do variations of that and change it up. We're going to do that first so that while that's in the oven, as you know, I love to multitask, we can make the chicken tortilla soup and then it'll all be ready at the same time. So we're going to come right over here, and we're going to even use we're going to use like just your Jiffy corn mix. Okay. You can make your own recipe. That's fine too. I just happen to have a little bit from the pandemic, and I try to utilize what I can. Any questions so far? Oh, okay. My daughter always signals me if there's anything. Okay. If everybody can mute as well, that's great. When we do the recording, it makes it a lot easier for everybody else to hear. Okay. So, all right. So we're just going to use just Jiffy mix or whatever. It's pretty easy. It's basically flour, cornmeal, a little baking soda, and I pick it up because when I teach my kids the school classes, it just makes it easier when they have something that's already in their mom's pantry. So I try to keep some boxes of this around. Even when I'm not here, my daughter can make it on her own, and I don't feel like it's too much of a hassle, and she won't get discouraged from not making it. Okay, so it's going to call for 2 eggs. Well, because I'm doing 2 batches. It's an egg and 1/3 of a cup of milk. I find that if I leave my milk at a little room temperature before, it helps in the baking process as well as the eggs. So just be aware of that. So I have my mix. Open that up. Grab them out if I can. It's been a mess. I'm just going to pour that in there. That one. Mess. Stuck to the bottom. The other one wasn't. Okay. There. I'm going to put our other one in. Okay. You don't need a hand mixer for this. So this is why I like to work with this with children, because you don't need a hand mixer. Although later on I teach them how to use the hand mixer. Take out any lumps if we can. But it's okay after you mix hand mixes with your own, like spatula or whatever. There are going to be a little bit of lumps. That's just the nature of cornmeal. Okay. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the batter first, and then I'll show you how to separate it, and then we're going to add the mixes. So we have our milk, which is pretty much room temperature already. Pour that right in the middle of a well. You make a well. Can you see that? Are you zooming in? Okay. Put that right in there. Scrape all that goodness out. We have our eggs. Same thing, they're room temperature. Gives you a little head start when you put them in the oven, when all your ingredients like that are pretty much room temperature. It doesn't cool it down and it tries to get into the oven. It takes a little bit of recoup time to get back hot. So we're gonna stir around a little, gradually start working in the cornmeal to make a batter. So you want to make sure your bowl is high. And this is sometimes with children, when you set them up for failure, you give them the equipment that's too small, and then you wonder why they make a mess on the sides. So you want to make sure your bowl is real deep. This has a rubber bottom on it, but I've had it for years, and it seems like the rubber bottom's getting a little bit not as sticky. So I put a wet paper towel, and that also helps your children. See how I can move it around without holding it? And that helps out too. I like all these little tricks because I want children to be able to help the adults as much as possible. So there are going to be some lumps in here, and that is just the nature of cornmeal. And that's why I like to use a silicone spatula so I can kind of press it out on the side, but there will be some in here. Now, cornbread is what they call a fast acting, which means it has enough baking soda that is going to rise. You can't let this sit out for 40 minutes because the bubbles immediately start forming, which means it's going to start to rise. So you want to make sure that you're ready to go with your add-ins. Now I'm doing several of them. I would of course advise you, if you're going to make one kind, but I'm going to show you like different ones. So I have 6 different bowls here. Okay, a little bitty takeout bowls. So I have those, and I'm going to try to, as much as possible, and I have a little spout on my bowl here, evenly put out like enough for maybe 2 muffins. So I'm going to pour it in here. Now, if you're going to just do one kind, of course, you can just leave it all in there in your bowl and add your mix-ins right here. But I'm going to try to multitask, like I said, and show you different ways and different things, variations that we can do with this. Okay. Now, my portions may not be exact, but I'm going to try to eyeball it. See which one I need more of. That one. And you can see how it's making bubbles already. It's very fast acting, okay? So we're gonna get a move on it. The oven is 400 degrees. And we're gonna cook these for about 15 to 20 minutes. Same thing, you kind of have to just, everybody's oven's different. If you're cooking with gas or electric, it can vary. I think I got almost all the same. Looks like it pretty good. I know I probably have made a mess. Okay, a little bit more. I don't like to waste any of the batter. A little bit more right here. Okay, if it's off, we're gonna be okay. So we have 6 different kinds here. The first kind we're gonna do is, I like bacon, which I've kind of pre-cooked a little bit. Not all the way, depends on how you like it crispy or not. Mine's just almost quite crispy. And I've just chopped it up with some scissors. So this, again, these children can help you do this. You just give them that with some scissors. They can chop it up into little bits. I have scallions. The same thing, depends on how big you like your scallions, but the kids could also chop those up with scissors as well. I did it with a knife there. And then I have a little bit of cheddar cheese. And I'm just using the grated. And I try to pull things that I had from home that I just either had from a dinner or maybe a night or 2 ago, and you can use how you can use leftovers. Okay, so we'll take this first one and we'll do it here. We're going to put our bacon in here, and you may not need all of what I'm trying to see how much I need, but I think I might need all of that. Okay, scallions, of course you would use a little bit more than I'm using because I'm only going to make 2. Put it in there, turn it for you to see, and my cheese in there. And that looks good. Let's see. Hopefully this may be enough for 1 meal 2. We're going to see how it goes. That back there. And then I have like a breakfast sausage, but you could use Italian sausage. You could use ground beef if you needed to. It just depends on what you want to do. This is just like an Owens or a what is the other brand? Jimmy Dean kind of sausage. My daughter loves this. So I'm putting that in there, stirring it around. I'm gonna put too much because then you won't have enough cornmeal. Then I had sauteed off some little onions and peppers last night, and I saved them here. So I made tacos. I'm gonna mix that in there. You can use red peppers, pimento, whatever you want with that. So that's our second one. And then our third one is I have shrimp, but I thought I had more of a shrimp that basically was like your cocktail shrimp, and I had this kind of shrimp that has a little bit of a coating to it. It's called boom boom shrimp. So I'm going to put in there. We use it when we do Cajun cooking. So I don't probably need all of this, but I'm going to put a little bit in there. I'm going to put some more. This one's like jalapenos. Jalapenos, a little bit of onion in there. And I'm going to actually add some Creole seasoning. I like this brand. It's called Dirt, Todd's Dirt. Okay. Just put a sprinkle in there, just so we have a little bit of Creole seasoning. It's yummy. And in any of these, you could add cheese if you wanted to, but I'm only going to add cheese to that one. Got that mixed in. Our other one we're going to do is black beans. Now, I kind of got ahead of myself last night. I ate all the salsa on my taco salad. And so I'm going to just put tomatoes, but you could put salsa just as long as it's not really watery salsa. Okay. Because then it's really the acid from the tomatoes is not going to let this rise like it needs to. So I'm going to put a little bit of roasted corn and black beans. I'm going to put some tomatoes in here, but if you had salsa or some peppers, you can do that as well. So this makes it kind of like a Southwestern. And then I have like a taco seasoning that I'm going to put in here. A little sprinkle. So I'm only doing 2. Okay. Okay. Black beans or corn. That changes it up. You know, you can make them different depending on what you're having and, you know, how you want to do it, because, you know, the worst thing is to get bored. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You know, you can change things up. Okay. So we have that one. And then we're going to do a couple of sweet ones, since those are all savory. We're going to take some strawberries and we're going to take some candied pecans, or you can just use regular pecans. And we're going to put a little bit of that in there. So you can kind of make it a breakfast corn muffin if you wanted to. Okay. Let me put this on low before I get. You hear that noise? That's just my cooker over here. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of strawberries in there. I want it to be too watery. Mix that up a little bit. Oh yeah, I think that'll do it. So I got that. And then I have my candied pecans. All right, there you go. So we have that. That one. And our other sweet one we're going to do is we're going to do cranberries with a little bit of maple syrup in there. Okay. And I'm going to put a pinch of cinnamon on this one. Just cinnamon. Do it. I put some cranberries. They're dry. Let's mix that up and see if I got enough of those in there. Yeah, that looks good. And a little bit of maple syrup. Don't put too much because you don't want to make it too watery, but just enough to add a little flavoring. 1, 2. That's how to do it. Okay, so we have 6 different ones. Now let's see. If it's not enough mix for 2 each, we'll make 1 each and we'll call it a day. Okay, that looks yummy. Okay, so I have my muffin pan. Now, a lot of people like to use like a cupcake liner, and that's okay. I particularly, when I'm making corn muffins, I prefer not to, because I like to get a nice golden edge around it. But if you're like, let's say you're going to give them away and you want to look nice, that's fine. So since I'm going to bake them right into the muffin pan, you want to make sure that you generously spray them very well with an oil. You can use butter, but butter has a tendency to burn, especially since our oven's going to be at 400 degrees. It's kind of tricky. Okay. So take a look down here. I've already sprayed them. And I even sprayed the surface here because once the muffin goes up, you want to make sure you're able to release it. Okay. It's got a sufficient amount, but it's not like swimming in oil. But you can tell the sides and everything are very oiled. Okay. Because we want them to pop right out. All right. So here's our first one. Let's see. You want your tin to be about 3/4. So we're going to try to get 2 out of each one of these. Okay. I think that might be enough for 2. It's really good. So how we'll do.
Yes, I had a question.
Sure.
The last one you made was, I can't remember, but you put a pinch of something in there. Was it the
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Cranberry. I put a pinch of cinnamon in there.
I'm going to write that down. Thank you.
Yes. And you can also add that into the other one. the strawberry or the other one. You can put in both, or nutmeg, you know, if you have the other one. I'm sorry. Okay, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can ask. It's okay if you're not sure how to use the chat, but please ask away. That's why we try to do this live, so I can answer as many questions as possible while I'm here. Like, you just consider me like your own personal chef, okay? This is what my friends have been doing during the pandemic. They've been reaching out to me because they know I'm available to help them. That was the shrimp one. This is the bacon and scallions with cheddar. You can scoop it right in. This is, like I said, it might go a little bit over it, so that's good because then we have it oiled on the side there, and we can maybe take a little bit of this one and turn it to that one. All right, but your kids can do this because if they make a little bit of mess, you can just come wipe it back up. This is the black bean. Again, if you like it spicy, put some jalapenos in it. You know, sometimes people put, like, you know, chipotle adobo in it. Different things that you can find your supermarket that you can experiment with something that you're familiar with and then introduce something new. Okay. You can also freeze these. So this is good. If you want to make like a mixture of different ones, all, you know, like I'm doing, and then freeze them for whatever reason when you want to bring them out, when you need them for a particular type of dish. Okay. Cranberry ones. But, you know, this way, like I said, you won't get too bored of making the same thing. And we got our strawberry ones with our candy. I love, my favorite place to get candy pecans is at Trader Joe's. Theirs are like superior to other places I've tried. And I like to make them for myself during the holiday time. When I have extra time, make my own. But if I have to pick some up, I do love theirs. I have all my favorite Trader Joe products. Okay, that's good. All right, so let's take a little paper towel and just, we don't want to wipe off all the oil, but if you have any cornbread batter on there, yes, try to wipe it off a little bit because you don't want it to burn and all of a sudden you're smelling something and it's a joke in my house. What's burning? And chances are it's because somebody dropped something toward the edge of the stove or something like that, or in the oven. All right, so we have that wiped off. We're gonna try to get to separate those good. And we're going to put it in for 15 to 20 minutes. Somebody be watching that for me. And it's going to go into the oven. All right. Next on the agenda, right here, we're going to work on the chicken tortilla soup. And this is one of my favorite soups for me. I have it's called a personal induction cooker. And it's this. I used to like to make this in a wider top, but because I'm working with this induction cooker, I only have so many pots that I can use on this induction cooker. This is my deepest and my widest one. So every once in a while, you're going to see, she's going to try to zoom in so that you can see here. Okay, don't need that. So if I move this off of here, it stops. So if you hear this noise, a ding, this might have gone up. I have my pot on low to begin with. We're going to work on sweating. Now, in order to sweat, you need a top. So find a top that fits your top, that fits your pot, okay? Because in order for us to sweat, we have to have a top. So find that. We're going to start off with about a tablespoon of olive oil or oil, whatever your oil of choice is, but make sure it's not flavored oil like peanut or anything like that. It needs to be either olive oil or some kind of vegetable oil. I always eyeball it, but I'm going to just select 1, 2. We're good. Here's some more. I'm going to swirl that around, but I'm going to put this back because as soon as I pick this up, my cooktop stops. But it's easier for me to cook here than it is over the stove. It's hard for her to film over there. All right. Then I have my spatula ready. Anytime you're sweating, you always want to put a slight pinch of salt in there. It helps bring out the juices and the flavors from your vegetables, okay? And that's in anything. So again, it's not a pot pinch. A pot pinch is when I get my whole hand. This is just a little pinch to get it going in the oil. So when I put my vegetables in, we're good to go. We're going to start off with my bell pepper, which is already cut. And I have my onions and I have my garlic. If you're adventurous and you want it spicy, use jalapenos with this as well, or it would be too much jalapenos. You'd only want to put like one jalapeno, but I like to use bell pepper. It's really good. It adds enough of the flavor, but you could add bell pepper. I mean, jalapeno if you want. And I have about 3 garlic cloves that are already minced. Or if you squeeze out like a jar that you use, I have an organic brand I use, you can squeeze that out. I keep it in the fridge as well. Okay, so we're going to start out first. Now be careful, because when you put the veggie test, it's probably too hot if you hear it splattering. So we have it very low. I'm going to move it up to medium low, and it's going to start to go. Okay, so I'm going to put my onions in there. And this may cook a little faster than yours that does at home, because again, I'm using a induction cooker. It can get really hot really fast. So I have that in there. I'm going to put my bell pepper there, and I'm going to put my garlic. All in. Okay. Let's give it a stir. Coat it real good with oil. Now, to get it sweating, you're going to want to put just a little bit of water or your stock in there. I'm going to put a little bit of water just to get it going, just a splash. Okay. It's just like when you sweat, you need a little bit of water. That's when you start to sweat. So we're going to put that on, and I'm going to put it on medium just to get it going. And I'm going to put my top on. Okay. Let's put it on for just a little bit. We want it to get a little translucent as that goes. So while that's going, let's talk about our spices. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of cumin. It's right in here. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of chili powder. I may want to put some more. So I have some readily available to the side, because sometimes I like mine a little bit, being Hispanic, I like mine a little bit more, not hot, but a little spicy, a little tasty. Okay, so but that's a good amount to start with. You can always add, you cannot take out. So start with this, and always add. Okay, I have 4 cups of chicken stock here. All right. So if you're a vegetarian, you want to use chicken, vegetable, it kind of defeats the purpose, because we're making chicken, chicken tortilla soup. So I like to use chicken stock. Okay. All right. So we have that. I have my whole roasted chicken that I have already shredded from the bone. And I do it the night before, usually, if I'm going to do it. Sometimes I keep some of this in the freezer. Sometimes I just, when I buy one, I buy 2, and I make different things. And as the weeks go on, I'll show you other things to do with it. So I've already deboned it, taken the skin off, and I didn't chop it. I just kind of shred it. And it's okay to have big pieces like this for this soup, because once I put it in the liquid, it's going to just start coming apart, and it's going to look like a nice shredded look on there. Okay. So don't go crazy trying to make little cubes out of it. It's going to disintegrate, and you want to have some nice chunks in your chicken tortilla soup. Okay. So I have that. I have my can of petite diced tomatoes right here. I have my black beans, which have been rinsed already. You don't want to put them in there with the whole juice, because then your soup's going to get a horrible muddy color. And then I have this nice roasted corn that I like to use. It's actually from Trader Joe's as well. And in season, I like to make my own, but we're not in season, so I'm going to go with this. It's nice. And then I have my cilantro ready to cut. I never collect my cilantro ahead of time, because it's the last thing that goes in. I don't want it to get black before it gets into here. All right. So this is what we're working with. We're going to check this. Look what we have. It is now starting to sweat. I'm going to move this out the way, see if she can come in. It's starting to sweat. Maybe another minute or so. Nice. It smells good. Okay, let's see if she can come on over and see. It's bubbling a little bit. Yeah, I know. Sorry. All right. I'm going to turn it back up, because we need it to sweat a little bit more. Okay. Look, put the heat a little bit higher. Okay. So we have that. Some people like to put a little taco seasoning in this. What I like to say is wait till the end if you think you want to add some extra flavor or hot sauce or like Tabasco or something. Wait to the end, because as this cooks and marinates the flavors, it's so good that it doesn't really need that much, honestly. Okay, so let's see. All right. Oh yeah, now we're good. All right. Hard to see. I'm going to lower this down now so we can get the steam to stop. Okay, I'm going to turn it to its side. The onions are nice and translucent. My peppers are nice, vibrant and green. You can smell the garlic and everything cooking. I know It's going into my daughter's face and she's like, I'm trying to film you, Mom. Okay, so we have that. Now, you want to take your chicken and get it ready to go. With your spices, the important thing to know is that spices do very well when they have like liquid. Most of the time it's oil. In this case, it's the liquid from the pepper has oil in it. So they're like more they call oil soluble, okay? So that pepper, believe it or not, has oil. That's why when you touch a pepper, even if you just wipe your hand, it's in your skin. It'll continue to burn you or your eyes, okay? So you have to always wash your hands. So I'm gonna put in our cumin first. Stir it around. That smells wonderful. I'm gonna put chili powder. And I'm gonna stir it around. So this way, when I put my chicken in, it's gonna like absorb all these flavors, okay? It's always best to have the chicken cold because the cold with the hot, it'll automatically absorb it, okay? So, ready to go? Our chicken's gonna go in. It's gonna seem a little like dry. It's because it's gonna start absorbing all this vegetable juice and all of the spices, okay? Stir it around and it starts to absorb it. It smells wonderful, okay? Got that going. Now you see how it's looking more like shredded chicken, kind of like that. All right. We got that. Next, we're gonna put in, that smells so good. Next, we're gonna put in the tomatoes. Make a well in the middle. Put your tomatoes in. And again, in the summer, I would be using my nice garden tomatoes. I cut them up the night before and put them in a glass mason jar so they get kind of watery and juicy. And then I would use them. Not in season, so I'm gonna improvise. You start around, you start saying, I think my chicken's getting kind of broken up. Don't worry, it's gonna be a soup. It's gonna be fine. It's very rustic. All right, and take a look at the coloring in there, you see? There's my machine's turning off, you see it? All right. Okay, all right. Then I have my stock, my chicken stock. You can hear it kind of crisping in the bottom there. We're gonna put in this right in the middle. Two. That's two. Now, right now it'd be like a stew as far as like the amount of water that's in here. So we're not really aiming for a stew. We're aiming for more like soup. Kind of with these two here. Stir. And now we're going to want it to kind of come up to a boil. All right, so I'm going to put it up on medium high and see if we can get up to a boil. Get it there so she can take a look at it. And just right now, the last thing you put in is the beans and the thing. You don't want to put these two soon because your corn will get tough, okay? So we're going to wait for these two things. I'm actually going to take a minute and take a little taste and see just how our liquid tastes, okay? It takes a little while for it to marry the flavors. That's good. But I can tell, for me, I'm going to put a little bit more chili powder. Touch of salt. Touch of pepper. That's good. All right. I'm gonna let that come up to a boil. And while that's coming up to a boil, we're gonna cut our cilantro just so that we have all of our ingredients completely ready. So for the recipe, it says about 1/4 of a bunch. A good measure for me is kind of like almost my hand wrapped around this. So in some grocery stores, this is about a size of a bunch. For me, this was like 2 times the amount would be of the bunch I just bought. So I'm saying like that much. It seems like a lot. And don't worry about the stems. I like to use them in Latin cooking. We use the stems. It's okay. Need my knife. Just had it. Give me a second. 1 second. It went away. Too soon. Okay, he's finding it. Oh, he's going to help me out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, here we go. All right. So, best way to cut cilantro, I'm gonna keep an eye on my soup. I don't want it to get too hot. Is you take it, you line it up So this, I already rinsed this. And I dried most of it. And you want to take it and you bunch up the end as much as you can possibly bunch up. I like to use a serrated knife because I can kind of control it. And you just make it really tight. Because what happens is if you chop up cilantro too much like this, it turns black and then that's ugly. I don't like my soup to look ugly. So just go in there and I tighten it every time I move my hand. Watch your fingers. And I just keep bunching it up as tight as I can. Okay. Instead of doing all this, you know, chop, chop, chop. I don't know if you've ever done that. And all of a sudden your cilantro looks like it's been in a war. It's just like it's black and brown and it's been burnt. Okay. I just keep moving my hand and keep retightening. And then I'm going to come across what I've already chopped like a couple more times in another direction. For this soup, it doesn't have to be really minced. It just, as long as it's just chopped. Now I'm going to stop right there. I think that's enough. But so I'm going to take this and you see how I have it? I come across this way a couple of times just to make sure, you know, this way it stays nice and green. Nice and green. All right. So we have that ready to go. All right. My hand, my soup over here seems to be coming to a boil. Yes. Now, sometimes I add 2 more cups of stock. It just depends. If it doesn't, I have to adjust my seasoning. Depends on how many servings I want to make. But right now, this looks pretty good. But if I put my beans and my corn in, and I think I need a little bit more, I'm going to add a little more. Okay. All right. I'm going to do another taste with a different spoon. I think I'm going to need a little bit more cumin and some salt. I want this to come up to a boil. It's taking a while. A little bit more. Okay. It's hard to, honestly, the last seasonings I do is after I put my cilantro, but I can tell right now that I like mine a little bit more. The cumin adds a little bit more smokiness to it. So I'm going to add a little bit more. A little bit more cumin in mine. That equivalent to about 1/4 of a teaspoon. And this is my favorite chili powder. I buy it online, but it comes from Texas. And it's one of the best chili powders I've ever had in my life. I'm telling you, I love it. Okay, let me take a little bit of this. And I don't pour this over. I try to do it real gradually because the chili powder can get out of control. I'm going to put probably another 1/2 teaspoon in there just to be sure. Don't take it away. All right, let me give it a stir. That looks good. All right. I turned it up, so it's taking a while. It helps when you have your stock a little bit warmer. I don't think mine was just as warm as I would have liked it to. I'm going to go ahead and put my beans in. And sometimes I put twice as many beans because I like beans. But that's just me. So that was 1 can. So you can see how many are in there. If you need a second can, you can. The name of the chili powder is Gephardt? Gephardt. I think it's actually a German last name, but it's made by a company in Texas. And since I was a little girl and could read, that is the type of chili powder my family has always used. So I have my black beans in there. I think you can even put 2 if you want to make the soup go a little further. I only had 1, and then I have my corn. I'm gonna put our corn in. Corn. It's got a lot of veggies in here. You know, we have our chicken. And I'm going to add 2 more cups of stock, I believe. Maybe 1. Let's see.
Gep with the B.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you can show them to Gephardt. It's hard to read on there.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm. I think Walmart sells it, but not in the store here in New York. You have to buy it online. And when I buy like 4 of them. This way, it's worth the shipping. So if you were looking, Walmart also sells it. So this way, if you don't, the particular company, I can't remember the name of it, but that's it. Okay. So we have that. I'm going to put a top on this for just see if we can get it to come up to a boil because that's important when you're dealing with tomato. Okay. But it looks beautiful. I love the colors on this. Okay. Let's put a top. Let it come up for just a minute. I have it on high. And we are going to get rid of this right here. We have a mess a little bit because we're going to have muffins coming out in just a bit. And we're going to leave our seasoning here because we may again, like I said, need to season a little bit more. So we'll see. And if you like it to be really spicy, like I said, you can always add in hot sauce, Tabasco, or something like that. And you can customize it to your flavoring needs, okay? All right. Okay. All right, so we have our cilantro. Just so you know that when I serve this up, I'm gonna serve some garnishes with it. I'm gonna serve some grated cheese. I have sour cream. I have made some tortilla strips that I've just fried off, but you can put a regular tortilla chip in there. So I put those on there, they look like straw. I also have a wedge of lime because it's just very traditional to have a wedge of lime and you squeeze it to the very end and it balances out the chili flavor. And I love it with that, a little wedge of lime. So I serve that kind of like on the side and let the person decide whether they want to squeeze the lime in themselves or whatever, okay? If you put it in the soup, it will definitely make your chicken tough. It will make your corn tough. It just takes the protein and denatures it. And then all of a sudden you've got this tough chicken and tough corn. And it's just, I don't like it like that. It just doesn't, you know, oh, we're coming up to a boil. It doesn't, you know, help your soup at all, okay? All right, we're coming up to a boil, which is good. We don't want to go too far on a boil because our corn, I don't like it to be tougher, I like it tender. Okay, so that smells beautiful. I'm not going to season it anymore until right now. I'm going to put in my cilantro. Take it in. It's in there. And I like a lot. That's just me. But you know, science says there's two types of people who hate cilantro and people who love it. I love it. My daughter hates it. Because the people that hate it say that cilantro tastes like soap. And it's a genetic thing. Believe it or not, it's not like they just their personal choice. They really have a genetic gene where when they taste cilantro, it tastes like soap. And they can't get past that. And I learned that in cooking school. But I never even thought that it tasted like soap until they mentioned it to me. And now I can realize why people would think that. But it doesn't taste like soap to me. All right, we're going to do a tasting. Here we go. Nice cilantro. You see the green in there? It's beautiful. I'm going to take a little taste. That's good. It needs salt. Again, go slow. A pinch. I'm experienced. I'm going to say 2 pinches. I'm going to do a pinch of pepper. A pinch of pepper. Okay. And I like taco seasoning in mine. Where did my taco seasoning go? I'm going to put a little bit of taco seasoning in there because that's just me. All right, but it is so good. All right. If you don't have taco seasoning, put some onion powder, put a little garlic powder, but again, to your tasting. This is about you making something that is tasty for your family, okay? I have a little taco seasoning. I put a sprinkle of that in there, and that is delish. All right. Okay, get a fresh spoon. Let's do another taste. Yummy. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm going to put one more pinch of salt. Okay. My broth didn't have, the reason you want to put your salt at the end is because sometimes people's broth is very salty or low sodium, or they cooked it, you know, with their other chicken and stuff like that. So you always put your salt at the end, okay?
Someone asked if you're planning on leftovers, would you put the cilantro in the bowl rather than the pot?
If you're when I freeze my chicken tortilla soup, sometimes I take out what I'm going to freeze and separate it, and I don't put my cilantro into when I'm going to make it, like defrost it and then bring it up to a boil, then put my cilantro in. It keeps the cilantro fresher and the flavor of the soup much fresher when putting in fresh cilantro. So you can do that. So like say that you made this tonight and then tomorrow you want to serve it, then you can put the cilantro the next day if you wanted to. But it does well if you put it in the refrigerator like tonight and I reserve it tomorrow, it's still great. It's when I do the freezer that I try not to put the cilantro in the freezer. So again, if I was going to make half this for tonight's dinner and put the rest in the freezer, before I did this, I would separate it and then put my cilantro when I redid it again. But for tomorrow, you'd be fine putting the cilantro in tonight. And you could always add more, you know? Like I probably might put some more of this in my own bowl and put some more in there, okay? So now let that sit for just a minute. We're gonna get some bowls here so that we can serve a little bit up with the garnish. Let me get a paper towel. That's this up a little bit. Okay, so here we have, I love to serve it in a white bowl. This is like a really nice, warmy, great feeling to serve this. Which is chicken. You say your chicken just does its own thing in there. You don't have to get crazy and try to dice it up because it becomes shredded chicken. So that's that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of my cheese. Cheese here, make like a little raft. So I got my cheese. And then I take my little straws of corn chips here. And over to the side. See that? That. And then I take I like avocado with mine too, but I like avocado with everything, so kind of partial that way. I took my avocado. I sliced it already. And I like to fan it out nice and pretty to serve. That's nice like that. And then if you have salsa, you can put a little bit of salsa there or something if you want to. Again, you can customize this. But what I like to do is I just take a little bit of sour cream. Right there. And then I take a pinch or a little sprinkle of chili powder so it looks pretty. Like that. And then I got my little lime wedge. You can put your lime wedge here on the plate, however you like, just like that. Okay. That is our chicken tortilla soup. And again, when we make this, I get like three days in a row. We just love it. Okay. And sometimes I'd serve it with chips. Sometimes I'd serve it with a corn muffin. It just depends. Now, coming over to our corn muffins. They're out. They're ready. Look at these guys. Ooh, lovely. All right. So once they come out of the oven, you use an offset spatula. That's what this is. And they should just pop right out. Okay. That is the sausage. That is the sausage and the peppers and onion one. I'm just going to slice it in half. See how pretty that is. It's nice and pretty. It's that one. Let's see which one. Oh, this is the bacon and cheese one. Let's put the two. See, and they pop right out. I like it because they get nice and golden like this. You see, it's golden. When you put the paper liner, you don't get that same little effect, okay? So that's that one. Which other one can we take out? Kind of hot. This is the shrimp one too. Sit in there. See, it's a nice golden bottom. Nice like that. Let's just half these here. Yeah, some of those are just too hot. If you cut them too hot, see how they break apart? So I'm gonna just show you one more and that's it. All right. That's got the bacon and cheesy one in there. That's pretty too. Whew. They're hot. They're still hot. You want to let them sit in there for about 10 minutes and pop them out. Okay. All right. Whew. That's really hot. Feel it coming off there. All right. So we get a plate here. So we would serve those on the side like that of our soup. That's what we want. And we're gonna take some pictures of these in a little bit, and we're gonna put them on social media so we can see. Again, if you try any of this food and you want to take some pictures, feel free to send us pictures. My email is chef, CHEFRIZZO @hotmail.com, and I'll forward them on to our library staff, and they're going to put them on their website. Again, these classes are sponsored by the Friends of the Library from the Ruth Keeler Library. We are also going to let you know that you can watch this again on the YouTube channel. Just search Ruth Keeler Memorial Library and it should come up. And there's other classes that we have. Also next week, I believe we are doing, let me think about this for a minute. I believe it's enchiladas. Let me have that paper right over there. And I want to make sure I tell you right there, sticking out. Sorry, we changed the class. Okay, next week is Southwestern shredded chicken enchiladas. I'm going to teach you how to make the enchilada sauce that is just to die for. So enchilada sauce is very easy. We're going to make that first. We're going to make a similar shredded chicken to put inside the enchiladas. and we're gonna go from there. And with this particular recipe, you can also make chicken tacos out of it, but it's the enchilada sauce that's really important, so that once you master that, you can learn how to freeze that as well, and you can use it for other things too, as soups, okay? So any questions? All right. Again, feel free to email me and I'll be glad to help you out. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you next week. All right. Thanks and
Thank you.
enjoy. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.